It's Wednesday, and that means new horror comics are here. Remember, this week in Comics Horror is not a set of reviews, just a list of what you'll find when you head to the shops this week in comics from the horror genre. This April 12th, 2023. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. Let's check out This Week in Comics Horror, April 12th, 2023. Let's begin with some small press and indie comics publishers, which, like most low-budget horror, deliver some of the freshest, most honest, and most harrowing horrors on the stands, most without too many hands on it despite the original creators, making it a great way to get pure, uncut horror. Sleepwalking #1 is from Silver Sprocket Comics. It looks like we've got a slice-of-life drama about some down-on-their-luck punks. They just happen to be opossums and raccoons with human bodies. Sounds weird enough to work. From writer-artist Lauren Monger. Steve Orlando brings forth a story about two exorcists in Exorcists Never Die from Mad Cave Studios. These two exorcists used to be in a relationship and are now on the outs, but a possessed skyscraper brings them back together to take on a powerful evil force. Sounds a bit like Mr. and Mrs. Smith meets Evil Dead Rise. Blood, Love, Ghosts, and a Deadly Spell #1 is from Fair Square Comics. It looks like this one is a collection of short stories from artist-writer Damian Connelly, and most of the time, these little anthologies have a good story or two in them. Here's a story about an exorcist who must enter the mind of a dementia patient possessed by a powerful demon. It's called All the Devils Are Here, #1, and it's from Scout Comics. The story is by Jared Lujan, and the art is by Matt Harding. Seems coincidental that Evil Dead Rise is coming out, and this is the second exorcism comic being released. Yeah, sure, just a coincidence. I love that cover, though. Once again, I'm really fiending to get my mitts on My Brother's Blood Machine. It's in its 5th issue from Evil Inc. Comics. It seems demented as all get out from horror writer extraordinaire Steve Niles, with some unsettling art by Andrew Ritchie. This Week in MidTier Comics seals the deal that horror is alive and well in comics. More and more, these mid-level publishers, who aren't quite the mainstream, deliver the goods in terms of horror. NIGHTFALL Double Feature tells two tales from the twisted minds of Tim Daniel, David Andry, Daniel Kraus, Chris Shehan, and Vault Comics. One tells the story where the dead erupt from cemeteries around the world, and the other is about a cursed dagger and some ghostly specters that come from it. If you're an EC Comics fan, this book looks to be right up yours and my alley. Here's more Western horror from Aaron Campbell, Tim Seeley, and Jim Terry. There's a cool Penny Dreadful vibe to West of Sundown. This is the 10th issue of this series from Vault Comics, which looks to be ongoing and moving past its original Old West vampire opener story. The hockey-masked killer that terrorized New York, no, the other one, and the detectives are assigned to bring this mass murderer in, but this time it seems like it's a female killer behind the mask. Here's Maniac of New York, Don't Call It a Comeback #2 from AfterShock Comics, the ongoing slasher series presented by artist Andrea Mutti, who is the hardest working artist in horror comics at the moment. Children of the Black Sun has a wonderful Stepford vibe, but actually gives the bizarre children personalities along with their weird supernatural powers and creepy vibes. When the Black Sun threatens to rise again, what does that mean for the children who are already here? This is a nice concept that comes at a creeping pace from Dario Ciccio, Letizia Cadonici, and Ablaze Comics. And now for some horror from the big two, Marvel and DC, which aren't the most scintillating of thriller tales, but hey, they've got that mainstream sheen all over it. More gateway horror comes from Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries in issue #7 from Amanda Diebert and Dario Bruzuela. Batman, Scoob, and the gang find themselves in the middle of a haunted theater, but according to that cover, they still serve pizza, so it can't be all that bad. I'm not following James Tynion IV and Lisandro Esteran's take on the Sandman universe, not because I don't like the creators, both are very strong and talented storytellers, but the Sandman universe just never interested me that much, to be honest. The Glass House seems to be starting a new chapter of the Nightmare Country era of the Sandman universe, so fans of that last series should be on the lookout for this new one. I noped out of Bloodline, Daughter of Blade, in the last issue because it really lacks any kind of horror elements other than the fact that occasionally a vampire pops in for a panel or two. Expect a lot of high school drama and teen angst, and you'll find loads of it in Bloodline, Daughter of Blade from Danny Lore and Karen S. Darboe. This issue promises father-daughter drama between Blade and Bloodline, so it appears the horror is still going to be absent. This series needs more vampires, gore, and suspense to get me back. Predator number 2 is from Marvel Comics. I'm not sold on the art from new artist Nito Diaz yet, but Ed Brisson continues to deliver some hardcore sci-fi and action with a nice covering of blood and gore in this second volume. So far, Marvel is doing this property well. Time and again, Image proves to be the great place to find unique and high-concept horror ideas. Here's what scares Image has on tap this week. Tim Seeley and Zulema Scotto-Lavina merge future computer tech with witchcraft in Hexware. Issue 5 has the protagonist and her online personality taking on some occult forces from hell overflowing into the real world. Dark Ride number 5 continues the terrifying tale of a haunted theme park and the legacy of horror that has unfolded through the ages from Joshua Williamson and Andre Bresson. And Little Monsters number 12 claims to be the penultimate issue of this series by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. I don't know if this series is going to continue or play out in a second arc with a new number 1, but I've been loving this tale of vampires trapped in children's bodies, attempting to live in a world where very few living humans are left. Finally, here are my picks of the week. These comics are the ones I'm most excited about reading, and they're coming out today. The Seasons Have Teeth number 1 is from Boom Studios. Boom has a good track record of late in horror with Something is Killing the Children, House of Slaughter, and The Approach. Here's a new one which makes the actual seasons into monsters, and a photographer out to document just what they are and prove they exist. This one's by Dan Waters and Sebastián Cabrol, and it seems like an intriguing concept, so I'm all in for the first issue. Finally, the first issue of Phantom Road from Jeff Lemire and Gabriel Hernandez Walta pretty much blew me away. A hitchhiker and a trucker find themselves trapped on a never-ending road in some kind of parallel hell dimension populated by faceless monsters. It's simple and primal, and I was hooked with one issue. I can't wait for this next one. Well, that's it for this week's haul. That was 18 horror comics haunting the shelves this week. Surely there's something in there you'll find worth reading. Let me know which ones look good to you down in the comments.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're